Let me read to you a passage from the 21st chapter of St. Luke's Gospel, verses 34 to 36. It's the Gospel for Saturday of the 34th week in Ordinary Time. St. Luke writes, Jesus said to his disciples, "Be careful, or your hearts will be weighed down with dissipation, drunkenness, and the anxieties of life, and that day will close on you unexpectedly like a trap. For it will come upon all those who live on the face of the whole earth. Be always on the watch, and pray that you may be able to escape all that is about to happen, and that you may be able to stand before the Son of Man." That's from Luke chapter 21, verses 34 to 36. It speaks of us being on the watch. You know, the human eye is a complex organ that transforms light into the things we perceive as reality. Just like every other organ in our bodies, the eye is susceptible to a variety of diseases. Glaucoma is a common disease of the human eye that is characterized by a group of conditions that slowly deteriorate the optic nerve, eventually causing blindness. It is the second leading cause of blindness and is typically caused, but not always, by abnormally high pressure inside the eye called intraocular pressure. A person may not notice any signs or symptoms, and for many, by the time glaucoma is discovered, it is already at the advanced stages. Damage done by glaucoma cannot be reversed, but may be slowed with proper treatment. Cataracts are another common disorder that affect the eyes and are described as a clouding of the generally clear lens of the eye. Again, macular degeneration is a condition of the eye that damages the core of the retina, which is called the macula. Damage to the retina can make it increasingly more difficult to see fine details. With macular degeneration, damage is also done to the area around blood vessels that supply the macula. All these are instances of the gradual loss of the power to see, and they each require different strategies to halt the loss, or, in certain cases, to regain vision. There is a very common kind of gradual loss of vision, though. It is the gradual loss of the power to see spiritually. And this is the purpose of my introducing that illustration, to see the things that God would have us see. And these things are of maximum importance. Many with excellent physical sight are simultaneously suffering a silent but relentless loss of spiritual sight, and they do not know it. What is worse, they do not care. One of the most important things to do when it comes to the preservation of physical sight, as with health generally, is to be on the lookout for telltale symptoms. Checkups with the appropriate experts ought to be regular. In other words, as the years advance, a person ought to be on the watch, lest a deterioration set in which can reach such a pass as to be irreversible. This having been said, a major problem is that many think that the only important dimension to health is the physical, because it is this life alone that matters. So it is often thought. The fact is that as a person advances in years, if he does not look out, slowly and silently, a serious spiritual decay can set in. Of course, it is very possible that due to parental and educational neglect, a young person may never launch into a substantial spiritual and religious life. But even if a beginning has been made in a genuine relationship with God, this can, as with physical health, deteriorate. It can become diseased and fade away completely. The serious feature of this is that, especially due to declining interest in one's spiritual life and health, because one's interests lie elsewhere, all this may be little noticed, and what is noticed may be left unattended. A person reaches the age of 50 or 60 or more, and his life has become filled with various interests and ambitions, or perhaps relatively empty of them, and things that are of God fade from the horizon. He is becoming blind and does not know it. A high pressure from the things of this world are pressing on the eye of the soul, and spiritual glaucoma sets in. Or to use another image, the lens of the soul is becoming clouded, and a cataract is veiling the heart. As I've already said, not only is there the loss of vision, but there is the loss of interest to do something about it. Life rapidly passes, and its end looms ahead, either suddenly or gradually, as the case may be. But the person has lost his spiritual sight, or it may be seriously impaired. He is helpless in the midst of his spiritual disease, and cannot rise to the occasion of the coming of the Son of Man. Somehow grace has to penetrate his blindness, and if there is simply no response from the person himself, what can be done? His sorry state is the fruit of a vast number of previous neglects and refusals. All of this reminds us of the critical importance of our Lord's words in the Gospel passage I read earlier. And that was, "Be careful, or your hearts will be weighed down with dissipation, drunkenness, and the anxieties of life, and that day will close on you unexpectedly like a trap. For it will come upon all those who live on the face of the whole earth. Be always on the watch, and pray that you may be able to escape all that is about to happen, and that you may be able to stand before the Son of Man." Luke chapter 21, verse 34 to 36. Be always on the watch, our Lord tells us. How can we do this? We do it especially by cultivating an abiding spirit of prayer day by day. Let us strive every day to live in the presence of our Lord Jesus Christ, who is God with us. Let us take practical steps to grow in this habit. As soon as we awake in the morning, let our firm habit be to turn to God in prayer immediately. Let us raise our minds and hearts to God very frequently during the day amid our work. If we wake at night, well, let us turn our thoughts to God then too. There are many means of being ever on the watch to ensure that we live in the state of grace, but daily and frequent prayer is essential among them.